After being married for 8 years, my husband brought my pregnant widowed sister-in-law home without my consent and asked me to take care of her. My son thought it was embarrassing for me to run a street stall and asked me to go home and take care of his aunt. I listened to my husband and son, gave up my snack stall that earned 200 yuan a day, and became a hardworking housekeeper at home. Later, my son became a civil servant and got a stable job. My niece was admitted to a prestigious university. My husband went from being an ordinary pig butcher to the boss of the largest pig farm in the county. My widowed sister-in-law became a highly praised gold medal teacher. As for me, I overworked myself, accidentally broke my spine, and became paralyzed. I ate, drank, and relieved myself all on the bed, and the stench filled the air. During the day, I watched the four of them being harmonious and happy. At night, I listened to the gasps of my husband and my widowed sister-in-law next door. I was so angry that I died. When I woke up, I went back to the day when my husband brought my widowed sister-in-law home. This time, I resolutely left my husband and son and worked hard on my career. Let someone else be the housekeeper. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. Helen, clean up the West Room. To make it convenient for you to take care of my sister-in-law, I've brought her to live with us, Eric said with a sense of righteousness at the door. I looked up and saw Eric and my son coming in with big and small bags. Jolyn, who was protected by the father and son, had nothing in her hands. When George saw that I didn't move, his little face turned dark. My dad told you to clean the room. Are you pretending not to hear? He put down the package in his hand and came to pull me. I looked coldly at this son of mine and remained unmoved. When Eric saw my attitude, he felt embarrassed. His eyes widened, and the scar on his left face became even more terrifying. My sister-in-law is here. Who are you making that face for? Hurry up and clean the room. You're so petty and unseemly. When Jolyn saw my unhappy expression, she tugged at the corner of Eric's clothes and spoke softly. Eric, forget it. It seems that my sister-in-law isn't welcoming me. Why don't you help me find a house? I think it's okay for me to live alone. How can that be? Sister-in-law, I said I would take good care of you for my brother. Now that you're pregnant, how can I rest assured that you live alone outside? Just stay here at ease. Yes, Auntie, just stay here at ease. Let my mom take good care of you. The father and son, Eric, quickly said to persuade her. After that, Eric looked at me with even more dissatisfaction, thinking that I didn't give him face. Helen, you know that my parents passed away early. My brother brought me up with great difficulty. Now that he's gone, I can't ignore my sister-in-law and her child. Don't go out to run the street stall anymore. You can't earn much money. Stay at home and take good care of my sister-in-law. With you taking care of things at home, I can focus on the pig farm business with peace of mind. As soon as George heard about the street stall, he jumped up and glared at me angrily. I've told you not to run the street stall. Now my classmates call me the son of a street vendor. It's all your fault. I didn't say anything. I had already given up on this son in my last life. In my previous life, I listened to Eric. I felt indebted to my brother. So I let Jolyn stay. Once she moved in, she never left. A month ago, Eric's brother sacrificed himself on a mission. As the widow of a martyr and pregnant with her late husband's child, Jolyn was sent back by the leaders of the army and was arranged to work in a primary school in the county. When Eric received the news, he brought Jolyn back without hesitation, saying that he would take good care of his brother's wife and child. As a result, I became the tool for him to repay his debt. In my previous life, Eric also took it for granted that I should give up running the street stall and stay at home to take care of Jolyn. At first, I didn't agree because the income from the street stall was not low, but Eric said I was selfish and money hungry. He constantly picked on me. George also scolded me, saying that it was embarrassing for him that I ran a street stall at the school gate. All his classmates laughed at him for having a mother who was a street vendor and called me a low-class country bumpkin. Under the repeated blows from the two of them, I gave up running the street stall and became a hardworking housekeeper for the whole family. Just as I was about to speak, Jolene said, "Eric, don't talk to your sister-in-law like that. It's only right that your brother brought you up. He didn't do it to get your repayment." Eric felt even more guilty when he heard this. "Sister-in-law, I'm not an ungrateful person. I remember all the kindness my brother showed me. If I don't take good care of you, I won't have the face to see him even if I die." I sneered. "In my previous life, you took such good care of her that you even slept with her. I wonder if your brother came to you at night." Looking at these people in front of me, I felt sick to my stomach. I looked at Eric calmly and said, "This is your house. I don't object to whoever you want to take in, but don't even think about me giving up running the street stall and serving others at home. It's impossible." I secretly planned to move out in a few days and file for divorce from Eric. I was determined not to be the workhorse of this family anymore. Eric frowned and was unhappy. He felt that he was losing control, and his words became more sharp. "Helen, I never realized you were so selfish. What's wrong with you taking care of my sister-in-law while she's pregnant? We're all family. Don't be so petty. It makes you look small-minded." I wasn't affected by his words. In fact, I felt like laughing. In my previous life, I was morally kidnapped by him. I thought that as long as I took care of Jolene until she gave birth, it would be over. But after Jolene finished her confinement, she dressed up and went to school, and I had to continue taking care of her child. Because I didn't have a formal job, I was expected to do all the housework. Taking care of the child, doing the laundry, and cooking took up all my time, leaving me no extra time or energy to run the street stall. Eric often said that when his business grew and he had money, I would be able to enjoy a good life. But later, Eric's pig farm business grew bigger and bigger, and he became a well-known boss in the county. The living expenses he gave me every month were just enough for the family's expenses. After days of hard work, I became a haggard woman. I looked 10 years older than Jolene, who was 5 years older than me. When I asked Eric for more money to buy vanishing cream, he looked at me with disgust. "You're already so old. What's the point of dressing up like others? It's better to buy some food with that money. I think you're getting carried away just because you've had a few good days." But I clearly saw him giving Jolene 2 bottles of vanishing cream with his own hands yesterday. He said, "My sister-in-law is a teacher and an intellectual. How can you compare yourself to her as a housewife?" Thinking of these things, my heart still felt a pang of sadness. I felt it wasn't worth it for myself. Right now, running the street stall was my only means of making a living. I wouldn't give it up just because of others' mockery and suppression. I never wanted to experience the days of relying on others for money again. When Eric saw that I didn't feel guilty and admit my mistake as he expected, he ruffled his hair and became impatient. "I don't hit women. If any other woman had your attitude, her legs would have been broken long ago. Don't even think about running that snack stall. I won't provide you with ingredients anymore. A woman should stay at home and take care of the family. How many of those women doing business outside are decent? I shouldn't have agreed to you running the street stall in the first place. It made you too ambitious." I was furious. What did he mean by saying that few women doing business outside were decent? Chairman Mao said that women hold up half the sky. What's indecent about us earning money with our own hands? Eric, do you dare to say that in front of the director of the Women's Federation? I stared at Eric with a dark face. My eyes were full of threat, as if I would tear him apart if he said one more word. Eric felt a chill down his spine under my gaze. He realized he had said the wrong thing, but he couldn't bring himself to say something soft. There was a loud bang that broke the serious atmosphere. Jolene looked uncomfortable. She held her stomach with one hand and leaned on the chair with the other. "Eric, my stomach hurts. Nothing will happen to the baby. Right? How can I face your brother if something happens? Sister-in-law, it's okay. I'll take you to the hospital right away." After that, Eric quickly picked up Jolene and rushed to the hospital. George also quickly followed. Before leaving, he turned around and looked at me with disgust. "How could I have a mother like you? I wish my aunt was my mom." watching his back disappear. My cold expression gradually turned indifferent. This son was just like his father. He used to care for Jolene and her daughter. But he looked down on me, his own mother, from the bottom of his heart. Even after I became paralyzed. He said impatiently, "Why didn't she fall to her death? Now that she's paralyzed, who has the time to take care of her? She's such a troublemaker. It would be better if she died." Thinking of my ungrateful son's behavior in my previous life, my heart, even if it was hot before, had already turned cold. "Since you don't want to be my son, I'll just pretend I never gave birth to you." I went back to the bedroom and packed my things. I took out a savings book from under the pillow. There was more than 1,000 yuan in savings that I had earned from running the street stall for half a year. Eric always looked down on me running the street stall and disdained to take the money I earned. Fortunately, I didn't foolishly hand over the money to him. I picked up my luggage and went to the room where I rented to prepare the snacks. Looking at the ingredients I bought in the morning piled up in the room, I quickly recalled the steps of making the snacks. I skillfully prepared the ingredients and set up the pot. In 3 hours, I finished making the snacks for today. I temporarily put those scoundrels out of my mind. Now, no one can stop me from making money. The business at the school gate was always booming. After running the street stall for half a year, I had accumulated a lot of regular customers. Looking at the long line behind me and the cute little ones calling me "Sister" in front of me, my heart felt warm, as if it was soaking in a hot spring. Just as I was busily packing food for the cute ones and giving them change, there was a scream from behind. "Helen, my sister-in-law is in the hospital, and you're still running the street stall. When did you become so cold-blooded?" Eric's face with the scar was gloomy. He was like a fierce wolf and instantly scared away the little sheep around me. I tapped the ladle in my hand and turned to look at him. I said directly, "Eric, let's get a divorce." His angry face froze for a moment, and then he sneered. "Divorce? No way. You like running the street stall, don't you?" He quickly looked around my stall. The desire to destroy in his eyes reached its peak. I realized something was wrong, but it was too late to stop him. I saw him kick over my stall, and all kinds of snacks were scattered all over the ground. "I smashed your lousy stall. Let's see how you can run it now." After venting his anger, Eric looked at me coldly and said nonchalantly, "Can you come home with me now?" Looking at the snacks scattered on the ground, my heart ached. These were all money. I looked up and glared at Eric fiercely. I gritted my teeth and said, "You have to compensate me for all the things you ruined." Eric thought I agreed not to run the street stall. The corner of his mouth curled up in a triumphant smile. He took out a few banknotes from his wallet and stuffed them into my hand. "Be a good girl and stay at home to take care of us. I'll give you living expenses every month. Isn't it easier than working so hard to earn this little money by yourself?" I clenched those pitiful banknotes in my hand, feeling extremely ridiculous. My eyes were icy cold. "Since you won't let me run the street stall, then I'll turn your table over." This year, Eric only opened a small pig farm on my advice. It's too easy to destroy a budding flower. There are 6 such small pig farms in the county, and the competition is fierce. The reason why Eric could become the owner of the largest pig farm in the county later was mainly that he accidentally saved the county magistrate's little grandson and got connected with the county magistrate. Relying on this relationship, he monopolized the pork supply to all the primary and secondary schools and the canteens of the surrounding factories in the county, continuously expanded the branch farms, and gradually became the largest pig farm in the county. In my previous life, Eric asked me to take care of the county magistrate's little grandson in the hospital. I vaguely remember that this happened next week. My eyes were sharp. "Eric, this time I won't let you get this opportunity." When I got home, Jolene had been discharged from the hospital and moved into the bedroom that Eric and I used to share. George was standing by the bed, holding Jolene's hand and acting cute to make her happy. When he saw me come back, George made a face at me and said sarcastically, "Humph, if you have the guts, don't come back." Jolene pretended to be angry and said, "George, How can you talk to your mother like that? Apologize to your mother. Who cares if she's my mother? George muttered and ran out. His voice wasn't loud, but everyone in the room heard it clearly. Eric's face darkened. Sister-in-law. George is still a child. Don't blame him, Jolene said and made a move to get out of bed. You're back. Then I'll go to another room. Eric quickly stepped forward and held her arm, helping her back onto the bed. Sister-in-law, you can stay in this room at ease. Helen and I can go to the west room next door. How can that be? Helen. She grew up in the countryside. It doesn't matter where she sleeps. Sister-in-law, you grew up in the city and you're pregnant now. You should live in a better place. Under Eric's persuasion, Jolene agreed with a bit of embarrassment. Looking at these two, I couldn't help but recall that month when I was paralyzed. They were inseparable and didn't care at all. At night, Jolene was so loud that she didn't care if I could hear it. It was only then that I found out about their affair. In fact, there were signs before, but I didn't dare to think about it and didn't want to. Looking at these two who were flirting with each other, I felt sick, as if I had eaten shit. I turned around and went out. Out of sight, out of mind. At night, I was lying in bed thinking about what to do next when I heard Eric open and close the door and the rustling sound of him getting on the comm. Eric came up from behind and hugged me. His voice was low and unexpectedly gentle. Helen, I'm a bit unhappy about your behavior today. After all, my sister-in-law is carrying my brother's only flesh and blood. I'm being nice to her mainly for the baby in her belly. For my sake, take good care of her and stop making trouble. Okay. After all, we're husband and wife. When my pig farm business grows bigger, you'll be the boss's wife and have countless money every day. I let his sweet words with a hidden danger go in one ear and out the other. It was like a lullaby, and I fell asleep soon. This was the first time Eric tried so hard to say so many words, thinking he could control me. Before he could finish, he heard soft snores beside him. His chattering mouth stopped abruptly. He wanted to scold me but was worried about disturbing Jolene next door. He angrily turned over and slept on the other side. I opened my eyes. My pupils were dark and blended with the night. My body couldn't help but tremble slightly. In my previous life, I was deceived by his sweet words. In the next few days, Jolene asked for leave from school and stayed at home to rest during her pregnancy. I didn't go to the street stall either. Every time I went out, I pretended to be unhappy. Finally, the woman next door stopped me and asked, "Why haven't you been running the street stall at the school gate recently?" I looked like I had something hard to say. When the woman saw this, she became even more curious and comforted me. "Auntie, I'm so miserable. My Eric brought his pregnant widowed sister-in-law home and asked me to take care of her. You know, since we're relatives, it's okay for me to take care of her, but I've been serving her like a maid. And when Eric comes back, he says I didn't take good care of her. I gave up my business of making money to help him take care of his sister-in-law. It's fine that he's not grateful, but he even dislikes me. I'm so bitter. Auntie." The woman beside me gritted her teeth when she heard this, and her eyes were rolling. "This Eric is really out of line. Your sister-in-law is also unreasonable." This woman was a gossip. In 2 days, all the neighbors around knew that Eric asked me to serve his pregnant widowed sister-in-law like a maid. Some even said that whenever Jolene was a bit dissatisfied, Eric would speak harshly to me and even hit me. Jolene didn't notice since she stayed at home all day. But Eric clearly felt that the neighbors were looking at him strangely these days. Later, he learned the recent gossip from an acquaintance. His face darkened instantly when he heard it. "Helen, did you spread those rumors outside?" The heavy and hasty footsteps behind me indicated the anger in his heart. I suppressed the corners of my mouth that wanted to rise and said with a bitter smile, "A few days ago, I heard George say outside that I'm a free nanny at home and a maid specially serving Jolene." Maybe those people took his words seriously. These were the words George said in my previous life. I still remember the piercing pain when I first heard them. A trace of embarrassment flashed across Eric's face. "That brat said everything. When he comes back, I'll teach him a good lesson." My heart was calm. Wasn't George's current character something that Eric spoiled him into? But this time Eric hit George for the first time and took him to explain to each family. I knew he did it for Jolin's sake and to save his own face. It had an effect. The neighbors changed to talking about it behind our backs. Time passed quickly to the day when the county magistrate's little grandson had an accident. During this time, I watched Jolin and Eric flirting right in front of me and doing secret things. They had to pretend to avoid suspicion in front of me. Today I'll throw the spark and help them ignite this raging fire. I made an excuse that I had something to do and went back to my parents' home in the countryside for 2 days. In the past, whenever I said I was going back, Eric would look unhappy and order me to come back on the same day. It was as if I wasn't going to see my parents but some heinous criminal. This time he readily agreed, and there was even a bit of eagerness on his face. I sneered in my heart. I guessed he had been waiting for this day for a long time. But I just went back to my parents' home and then came back. In the afternoon, I was holding big and small bags, with native eggs, tender green vegetables and fruits. These were ordered by the aunts and sisters-in-law last night. When they saw me come back, the aunts enthusiastically helped me carry the things into the house. I smiled and opened the door to let them in. As soon as I opened the door, I heard a shameful sound coming from the room. These people were experienced. As soon as they heard the sound, they knew that something improper was happening in the room. Everyone looked at me with sympathy. My eyes were red. My devastated look made one of the aunts couldn't stand it. Helen, don't be afraid. We'll stand up for you. I want to see which shameless slut it is. The others echoed. Then, with the help of the group, I pushed open the closed door. 2 white bodies were intertwined on the big bed, making people dizzy. Although I was prepared, when I saw it with my own eyes, I felt my stomach churning and wanted to vomit. Then there were exclamations behind me. Hiss. Is that Eric and his pregnant sister-in-law? After lunch, Eric looked at his beautiful sister-in-law and felt more distracted than ever. When they looked at each other, they stuck together like a magnet. One yin and one yang. Before they knew it, they were on the bed. When they woke up, they saw a group of people standing at the door. Eric was like being splashed with a basin of ice water, and the fire in his body was instantly extinguished. Hearing the woman's frightened scream beside him, he quickly pulled the quilt to protect Jolin in his arms. He glared at the people at the door with hatred and shouted sharply, "Get out!" Hearing Eric's hysterical roar and Jolin sobbing in the quilt, I felt strangely relieved. Today I finally exposed the shame of these two. Let's see if they can still do those disgraceful things in the name of uncle and sister-in-law like in my previous life. What made me even happier was that the county magistrate's little grandson had been saved by another pig farm owner. He had a deep grudge with Eric because of the pig farm business a few years ago. When he becomes prosperous in the future, Eric will be endlessly targeted and suppressed. Looking at Eric, who knew nothing, I slowly exhaled a breath of pent-up anger. Eric will never have the glory of my previous life. Eric felt a void in his heart, as if something that belonged to him had quietly slipped away. He felt a pang of panic. He stared at his heartbroken wife at the door and forced himself to be calm and shouted loudly, "Helen, what are you standing there for? Drive these people away." He was so angry. Why did this stupid woman bring these people here? They could solve the problem behind closed doors. What good would it do her to make a scene? "Eric, I want a divorce." I cried my heart out, looking like a woman deeply hurt by her husband's betrayal. "Jolin, why did you break up my family? I've been taking good care of you when you're pregnant. Why are you having an affair with your brother-in-law? Are you so cheap?" Jolin shrank in the quilt and said guiltily, "I didn't. It's not like that." Her face was pale, and her mind was in a mess. She never expected to be so embarrassed one day. "Helen, shut the hell up." I forced my sister-in-law. "She's innocent." Eric couldn't bear to see his gentle and charming sister-in-law being slandered by me, so he took the blame on himself. I looked at him in disbelief, and my face gradually lost its color until it turned ashen. I said tremblingly, "Fine. Since that's the case, let's get a divorce." You can live with your dear sister-in-law. Eric looked at his pregnant sister-in-law with a pale face, and then at me. There was a trace of hesitation in his heart, but soon he put on a guilty expression. Helen, I was out of my mind today. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I promise this won't happen again. Besides, where can a woman like you go after a divorce? Looking at his hypocritical face, I felt disgusted. How could he be so shameless even though he was caught in the act? Eric, you're bullying the widow of a martyr. If you don't give her an explanation, you'll probably end up with a bullet. I wiped the tears off my face and looked at him coldly. Eric finally realized the seriousness of the problem and angrily hammered his head. He stared at me with a complex look for a long time and then slowly said, "Fine, let's divorce." When I heard this word, I stood there stunned, and tears couldn't stop flowing. In this life, I can finally get rid of them. When the aunts and sisters-in-law saw this, they thought I was too sad and took me out. You've been wronged. According to me, we should call the police and arrest those two scumbags. I thought something was wrong before. How could he be so good to his sister-in-law and make his wife serve her like a cow and horse? They must have been having an affair for a long time. It's obvious that Eric was protecting that woman just now. Helen, why don't you stay at my place tonight? No, thank you. Aunts and sisters-in-law. I rented a room outside when I was running the street stall. I'll go there. With the enthusiastic help of the aunts and sisters-in-law, I moved all my things to the rented room. The moment I stepped out of the room, my nose suddenly felt sour, but the corners of my mouth couldn't stop rising. I knew the trumpet of victory had sounded. Eric was probably worried about being reported, so the divorce process went smoothly. I didn't care if he married Jolene or not. George came to find me after he knew that I divorced Eric. He looked at me with anger and a trace of confusion. Why did you divorce? Although he always looked down on his mother and thought she was from the countryside and not as good-looking, educated, or elegant as his aunt, she was still his biological mother. Now that they were divorced, would he be like the single-parent classmate in his class and be dressed dirty every day? No, he didn't want that. Go back, apologize to Dad and remarry him. George ordered me. I looked at him with a half-smile and said, "Don't you know, after I leave, your aunt can be your mother." Really? Can Auntie really be my mom? Then, you better not go back. I want Auntie to be my mom. Afraid that I would go back on my word, he quickly ran away. I withdrew my gaze and continued to deal with the ingredients without being affected at all. I had taken a break for a while, and today I was going to set up my stall and resume business. When the students saw that I was back in business, my regular customers were so happy that they jumped up. Looking at these lively and cheerful cuties in front of me, they showed satisfied smiles while eating the food I made. At that moment, I actually got a great sense of accomplishment from this small street stall business. I'm not the useless person who was looked down upon by my own son in my previous life. The light of fireflies is weak, but it exists. 3 months later, I had saved a considerable amount of money, so I rented a store next to the school. As soon as the store opened, my regular customers came to support me, and the business was extremely booming. During the time when school was over, the store was so crowded that it was hard to get a table. Most people could only take the food away. Soon, my snack store spread by word of mouth among the students. Every day, there were a lot of customers. Even many students from other schools came here especially. After coming here many times, some people complained that if there was a store like this at their school gate, they wouldn't have to come so far. When I heard this, I immediately thought of opening a branch. I took action right away. I quickly selected a new location, which was next to County No. 1 Middle School. I was busy with the decoration, hiring people, and promoting the store. I was on fire, full of energy every day, to ensure the quality of the taste. I personally cooked the base ingredients and taught the staff how to make the food until the taste was the same. When the new store opened, due to the good promotion and the discount activities on the first day, there were many customers. For food, the taste is always the foundation. As expected, This store was still very popular, following the same pattern. Within 2 years, I opened 5 branch stores throughout the county, and each store had booming business. My store became famous in the county and even appeared in the county newspaper. In these 2 years, I bought a new house and